Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of MixHax. Now, in this show, what we do is we just talk about, ways in which you can potentially save money by making the right choices when you kick off your DIY journey. And Richard chose, or he's picked some of these topics for us, and this is a really important one. And it's your favorite, or your first concentrates that you buy. Now, I think a lot of us, and I'll leave it to you guys to talk about your first experiences. But a lot of us start out by looking at concentrates or a stack of concentrates and thinking, you know what, I'm gonna take a specific brand like Capella or TFA, and I'm gonna pick what I like, in real life, things I like, and just buy those things from one flavor house, for instance. And that would be a huge mistake to make. I certainly made that mistake when I started, and I wasted money. I gave all of those concentrates that I bought to my dad to use for his fishing bait, because I did that. I found a concentrate house that was selling concentrates at super cheap prices. It wasn't concentrates that was used on all the flavors or whatever, and I just thought, hey, but this is concentrate is concentrate. It's just how I mix with them. And you run into a couple of problems. I guess I'll leave that open to you guys, to talk about the problems that you run into when you do stuff like that. So have you guys done anything similar?
Yes, definitely. When I started out, I did a very similar thing to what you did. I just Googled for e-liquid concentrates and found a place quite close to me back where I used to stay. And I bought every single concentrate that the actual flavor I like. I like coffee. I obviously like coffee, so I bought coffee. I bought literally everything I thought of that I liked in real life that I figured was a profile that I would enjoy. I bought it. I spent a huge amount of money on probably the worst concentrates I think anyone could ever buy, or combination of concentrates. I did the exact same thing as you did, and some of them went to friends for fishing, fish mixing into fish bait. So my learning curve was that I spent a huge amount of money on a collection of the worst brands and flavors of concentrates, and that's partly what caused, as some probably know, with me. I don't mix desserts and I don't mix specific flavors, because the ones I don't work with is some of the concentrates I probably overdid. Now, when I say I overdid it, it's the same batch of concentrates I bought back then. And that's how I figured out that it's the worst brand of concentrates, or it's the worst flavor to ever try. See, I never used a recipe, or I never started from a recipe. That's why that's my first piece of advice is go look for recipes, and don't look for the most fancy or complicated recipe that you think you like. If you see there's more than probably, 5 concentrates for a beginner, don't just mix that. Go onto a website like All the Flavors, and just do a search for popular recipes. Go through the recipes and look for something simple. Even do a Google search. Just look for something like a 3 recipe simple, 3 concentrate simple e-liquid recipe, and go through that and look at what people have rated it as. Then make your decision. Some of the online concentrates, or some of the concentrate houses actually on their website have a few beginner recipes. Mustard milk is on almost every e-liquid website where they have recommended beginner recipes. So a milk is probably a good place to start. And I would recommend choose a recipe, keep it simple, and buy the concentrates first. Don't buy a whole arsenal of concentrates that you think is the best flavors. It's probably not. And you will also get to learn the brands. Some brands have the best, let's say, apple, and some brands has the worst dusty, rotten apple that you can think of. And it's with beginner's luck, normally the one you choose is the dusty crap apple. So choose a recipe, buy the concentrates, keep it simple. Yeah, that would be my recommendation. Also, don't shop for, if you were like you or me, don't shop for the cheapest concentrate, because it's probably not a good. It's cheap for a reason. I'm not saying this is the case every time and all the time. That's why you start with the recipe, because that cheap concentrate will more than likely not be part of it. Richard?
Now, there seems to be a thing with new mixers that whatever advice they are given about sticking with the known brands, Capella, TFA, Flavor Art, Flavor West, they all seem to think, I'm going to be brighter than that, and I'm going to mix using concentrates that are something different. So they'll go out and they'll buy XYZ brand of concentrates. They won't be able to find recipes. They don't know enough to do flavor notes. Their mixing isn't enough where they can make those little known concentrates work. So for me, it's a very, very simple process. If you've just started mixing, or you want to start mixing and you're looking for what to buy in your first cart of flavor concentrates, go to alltheflavors.com. Find the highest rated recipes, the ones that have got the most 5-star ratings. Look at the flavors that are used in those recipes. Click on the flavor that's in the recipe. That will take you to the flavor page. You will then see how many other recipes that flavor has been used in. My suggestion is to only mix recipes and to only buy flavors where those flavors have been used in at least 2,000 recipes. And there are a lot of flavors on alltheflavors.com that have been used in 2,000 recipes. When you buy those flavors, you will be assured that they are versatile flavors that can be used in a wide range of recipes. So even if you don't like the recipe that you bought the flavor for, you will be able to find others. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, don't try to buy complex flavors. People are under the impression that flavor houses will give them mixes in a bottle. We've got things like the Flavor Art UK blends, where they mix several Flavor Art flavors together and they sell it to you as a blend. And it looks a lot more appealing as a single flavor. Don't make the mistake of thinking that that is a one-shot, that you can just add that into a juice and you now have a one-shot. If you want to buy a one-shot, buy a proper one-shot that is labeled as such. Don't buy a concentrate, because that is not a one-shot. Also avoid these compound flavors like strawberries and cream or cookies and cream or flavors like that, because they usually are not as good as what you can make yourself with a cookie flavor and a cream flavor. You can tweak the balance if you've got a cookie and a cream. If you buy cookies and cream, the balance is welded together. You can't change the balance that the flavor manufacturer gives you. So keep it simple. Buy simple flavors, and buy the most used flavors from the most used brands. That way, you're going to get a lot of bang for buck for your flavors. You're going to start off with flavors that you'll be using over and over and over again, and you then cut out those impulse purchases and those poorly thought out purchases where the flavor seemed like a good idea at the time, but the moment you start mixing with it, your results are poor, you're demotivated, you don't want to mix with that flavor ever again, and the flavor just gathers dust on your shelf until you flush it down the toilet or use it for fish bait or whatever it is that you're doing. The other aspect, and this will happen naturally if you follow the top recipes on alltheflavors.com, but even if you're doing that, make sure that you don't either buy a bunch of bases or a bunch of top notes. decide what profiles you like. Obviously, if you like tobaccos, you're going to want to buy tobacco flavors. If you like bakeries, you're going to need several cookies. You're going to need waffles. You're going to need brown sugar. You're going to need butter. But if you only have cookies and waffles and brown sugar and butter, and you don't have any fruit top notes, you don't have any nut top notes, you don't have chocolates, then you just have a bland cookie that you can't really do an awful lot with. On the other hand, if you're just sitting with a bunch of fruits and you like, say, milkshakes or custards or desserts, and you don't have a range of creams, then you're just sitting with thin fruit top notes that you can't flesh out by putting them into a cream because you don't have those cream bases. So look for a good balance between your base flavors, which is your cookies, your custards, your creams, and then your top notes, which would be your fruits, your nuts, your chocolate, or whatever. That way, you're going to be able to make a wide range of flavors, and you're going to be able to make, proper recipes where you've got a base with a top note layered on top of it. It's not just, a bunch of fruits thrown together or a bunch of bases thrown together with no top notes on it. So allow the experience of others to guide you. There's thousands of experienced mixers on alltheflavors.com. Use their collective experience. It's a fantastic resource. It's a fantastic site where you can find the most popular recipes, the most popular flavors. Invest in those flavors, and you'll be off to a flying start with flavors that you know are top-notch and which will last you for the whole bottle of flavor. It's not a flavor that you're going to be throwing out after you've used 1 or 2 mils. That's my long-winded story.
So, exactly what you were saying. You're not going to find recipes. I think when I started really enjoying DIYs, when I started thinking, okay, so, if I buy this recipe that really looks interesting, that has good ratings on it, with these 3 or 4 flavors, what else can I do with these 3 or 4 flavors? And that's when I started thinking, okay, well, let me search further than that, where these 3 or 4 flavors are mixed together as well, right? Or mixed with other flavors that I already have. And that's really important, is to look at how much this flavor is being used in other recipes, because as soon as you do that, then you find, okay, well, this specific flavor, maybe I shouldn't even go for this recipe because this specific flavor is not really used in many other flavors. So, let me go and look for a similar profile of recipe with a flavor in it, or strawberry in it that is used in many other recipes, and therefore, I've got longevity with that flavor. I can use it in many other recipes, and it's not going to be a waste. There's another document that I want to refer everybody to here. Richard's done a really amazing job to create a DIY primer. I'm going to link that DIY primer in the description below. He talks about many things over there on how to start and how to pick out your concentrates, and really is a helpful document. I mean, he created that about a year ago, and people still today, get in touch with them about it. But he talks about your first tier. He breaks up the concentrate flavor houses into tiers, and he talks about the first tier, which is TFA, Capella, Flavor West, Inawera, and Flavora, right? And then he actually goes further and takes the first tier and breaks it up into what are the bangers in the first tier. And that's extremely helpful, because those bangers that he's talking about is what we're talking about in the Easy Does It show, and how to use them, as well as those bangers are used in a lot of recipes. So, most of the groundwork has already been done here for you. You don't have to really think out of the box. Richard has done a fantastic job to put this together. I mean, it's not the be all and end all, but it sets you in the direction that you need to be thinking in. And it's really helpful. Yeah, so check out the link below. Guys, is there anything else that you want to add on your first concentrates?
That's it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for watching the show, guys. If there's any recommendations beyond what we've said, or you just have a question, leave it in the comments below. We'll get back to you. But most of all, thank you very much for watching the show. Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.